Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about The Evil Dead 2, the 1987 movie. So, the first one came out in 1981. After that, Sam Raimi, Rob Tappert, and Bruce Campbell were done with The Evil Dead. After the NC-17 rating, pretty much terrified the crap out of people and stuff. And so they moved on to different projects. One of those projects was Crime Wave. It did not do well. It flopped. This caused them to go back to the well and back to the Evil Dead to make some more money because people was clamoring more for a sequel. But what do? Another movie company owned the rights to it, I believe. And so they had to change things around. Sam Raimi wanted to open up a time portal and send Ash back to the medieval ages and stuff, which will later be the premise and plot of the third movie, Army of Darkness. But the studios are like, no, just make it similar to that of the first. So that's what they had to do. So the second movie is technically a retelling of the first movie because they're under a different studio and stuff like that, I believe. And so I still prefer the first movie over everything else because it's just so scary and terrifying, and the prosthetics and the makeup and the use of blood and pus and all this other stuff. And I just love the simplicity of the story. The second movie, however, is very, very, very good. It now truly makes Ash the primary hero. However, the story is different. Linda from the first movie shows up, but is played by a different actress. And then there are four new characters that have been added to the plot. Scotty and Scotty's girlfriend and Cheryl have been written completely out. However, what's so strange and odd is that the TV show makes references to all three movies. And that's weird because the first two movies, even though similar, are completely different. So it's a weird continuity. Unless you just want to chalk it all up to time travel and time travel shenanigans. Now, not confuse the audience and keep them caught up. The second movie starts with a narration of the Book of the Dead and also the dagger, which has a new appearance in it. And so the first 5 minutes of the movie is a retread of the first movie, but with just Ash and Linda. And so it retells that. It shows them driving in the Delta, driving over the bridge, going to the cabin. It turns out that in this new retelling, Ash is more charismatic and he just found the cabin in the woods. So he decided him and Linda should shack up there, even though it belongs to somebody else. So already it's introducing that arrogant version of Ash that we never saw in the first movie. In the first movie, he's more shy and timid. And, and you can tell a couple of 6 years has passed that, Bruce Campbell has changed a little bit. His jawline slightly different. He no longer has his unibrow. His hair is slightly different. He has more muscle and everything. And so with the new Linda and stuff, she's now this dancer and they're just hanging out and they find the book and they find the tape recorder, and just like the first movie, they play it. It's not them reading from the book. That's what I like. The remake in 2013 was so stupid. Why would you read an ancient language you don't know nothing about and you can't even pronounce the words? When people see something written in a foreign language, they don't read from it out loud. That's just what people don't do. So, and then next thing you know, Linda gets possessed. She turns into a deadite, but her prosthetics and makeup isn't as convincing as the first, Linda deadite. So she's acting crazy. Ash kills her with the axe by not axe, but a shovel by chopping off her head. He buries like her into the ground. And then I love the scene of him making like the cross out of like the two wooden sticks and he stabs it in the ground. But that's not over yet. She comes out of the ground and she's a complete corpse now. Her clothes are shredded. She's a skinny corpse and she's just dancing around. Her head is off. It rolls around the ground. She puts it back on her neck and she's just dancing around. I love this visual. It's so great. There was an actual actress who did play the dancing parts of like Linda. I'm not sure if it was the one when she was alive or when she was dead, but it was a lot of animatronics type stuff, a lot of stop motion. But it still looks cool to this day, and it's still creepy till this day. And so he takes her head, he puts it in the woodshed, and he takes the chainsaw towards it, but he can't find the chainsaw. Why? Because the dead corpse body comes on out and it's trying to hack him up with the chainsaw. It's a great visual. It's even a greater visual when he takes the chainsaw and he's sawing through the head and it flickers on the light. It's a great red shot visual. And so then, of course, after burying, he goes or he's outside, and then you see like the camera moving towards in the house, and it hits him, and then it picks off at the end of the last movie. And so, I was gonna say something, but I completely. Oh, now I remember the rating. The first one got an NC-17. However, because they didn't want to push that limit again, they had to make it R rating. And making it an R rating, it just doesn't have that same appeal as the NC-17. The second movie, in my opinion, just isn't that scary and everything. There aren't that many deadites. In fact, like there's only a few, and the prosthetics are really heavy prosthetic makeup. It doesn't even look scary that much. It kind of does, but I think the first movie will always blow my mind at how it looked, how it felt, and and there is blood, but not the way you think when you like chopping the bodies up. There ain't that much blood, and there's no pus now. They really had to water down this movie. So basically, after he gets hit by like the evil force and everything, he gets thrown into the water. He's there for a couple of hours, and he's drowning in like the puddle of mud. He wakes up as a deadite, but it doesn't last that long because sun has now risen. It's funny. Sun is supposed to be the thing that's supposed to get rid of these things, but in a TV show, they're there in the daytime, so I don't get that. But anyway, basically, this entire movie is Ash being by himself a good quarter of the movie and doing like a bunch of like, physical comedy. The house is basically torturing him. It's now the house that's more alive than the stuff out in the woods and stuff like that. So the house is torturing the crap out of him, which makes for a very hilarious thing. However, the ADR is atrocious on this movie. Like when he says woodshed or when he's making a lot of the goofier noises, it's not coming from his mouth. So I kind of wish they would have left that out and just added more like loud music or something. But anyway, so he's being tortured all in the house, bopping around and everything like that, showing the comedic chops of that of Bruce Campbell, which is funny because in a TV show he was in, Briscoe County Jr., which one day I need to talk about, when he auditioned for that, they told him, you ain't getting this role until you recreate for us what you did in Evil Dead 2, with you flipping around and bopping around and all this other stuff, so he had to do it. And I'm surprised this dude didn't break every bone in his body because he's really doing some physical stunts on his own. It's insane. And of course, in the second movie is where we get his hand. His hand has been affected by being bit by Linda. So like, his hand is what's controlling him, bopping him around and everything like that. And so like, the hand part is hilarious, especially the noise it makes. So he has to chop his hand off with the chainsaw, and this is how he loses his right hand. And so while this is going on, I think the professor dude is Nobby, I think his name is. I'm not sure, but he has a daughter. And the daughter is also a relic hunter, and she knows about the book and all this other stuff. She's back in America, wanting to visit her father and mother who lives in the wooden cabin, and she has no idea what's been going on. The actress who plays her, she's only has two acting credits, and she's done a couple of writing, this and that. But other than that, she's pretty much disappeared from like Hollywood. And so she's with her boyfriend, and they're very like posh, very preppy. So they're trying to head back to the cabin, but the bridge is out. I love the scene of Ash trying to drive like a maniac through the woods, trying to get to the bridge. It's amazing. Um, but I miss the scary spookiness of it, of like the bridge scene, like the fog, the night, Cheryl there, them like screaming and everything, but he's still screaming in agony because he can't get through. Anyways, as the couple is trying to make it back to the cabin, the bridge is out. They meet a redneck couple, Jake and Bobby Joe. Bobby Joe is played by Cassie. I love this actress. She's done two different soaps, Days of Our Lives, and I think One Life to Live. She was so great in that. And so the actor who plays Jake, he has sadly passed away 2 years ago from cancer. May you rest in peace. And like so they're kind of like this sketchy hillbilly redneck couple, but they help with the luggage and help them go through like this trail to get to like the cabin. By this time, Ash is like, with his double barrel shotgun. It's funny, the shotgun is a double barrel in like rifle in the second movie, but in the first movie, it's only a single barrel. And so, like, he's scared at this point. He's like been tortured by this crazy house. He doesn't know what's going on. And there's even like a part where we get like an evil Ash that comes through like the mirror and stuff. And so when he hears people trying to come through the house, he shoots at them because he's thinking it's the house trying to kill him. But he shoots Bobby Joe. In comes in Jake and beats the snot out of him, and they throw him down in the cellar. So then, they're listening to a tape recorder, and the professor dude is talking about, oh, we also get like a flashback of the professor, searching through like, the Sumerian temples and all this other stuff. So that was a nice little flashback. Well, anyways, he talks about how his wife has been possessed, Harrietta, and he locked her down in the cellar because he couldn't kill her. This is the greatest scene ever, because Ash can hear this, and he's just kind of like, crap. Then we see the head of Henrietta bust through the ground with worms sticking out. The girly scream Ash gives is amazing. So they let him out the cellar. Henrietta, the dead body, is played by Ted Raimi, Sam Raimi's brother, who was Joxer on Xena. And like, the body is so gross. And you can see like the back part of the butt, like it broke. And you can see part of like, the clothes coming out of Ted. They said it was so hot in that thing, buckets of sweat would just drip out and everything. The head, the dead eye, like head transforms. The transformation is like amazing in stop motion. And both times they do it in the movie. Not as impressive in the TV show with the CGI. I'm very disappointed in that. You'd think it would have been better. But whatever. And so he's just like torturing Ash and everything. And they realize they have to read from the lost pages of the book that he sent his daughter and everything. And so, but of course, craziness happens. The boyfriend of like the professor's daughter turns into a deadite. They have to get rid of him. The axe chopping up scene isn't as impressive. It's green blood. You don't see the body being dismembered because it's a rated R. Bobby Joe gets like an eyeball in her mouth, which is hilarious. She runs out. It's another tree scene, but she's not getting assaulted. It just drags her through the woods because, they had to keep it R rating. And plus, years later, Sam Raimi said he regretted the sexual assault scene with the tree and everything. And so she kind of just disappears from the movie. It's implied she got rammed into like a tree, but they don't show it. Now, in the first review, I said it was a giant head. My bad, it's a giant tree. And the giant tree has now been stolen because they just left it there and stuff. A lot of the woods don't feel like real woods. It feel like it was on like a set. And sometimes you can kind of tell. Sometimes it look like it's the real woods, sometimes it don't. The cabin had to get a new cabin because in the first movie they filmed in a different location. They tried to redress it similar to that of the first cabin. It just don't look the same. Especially the walls look completely different. You can tell you're in a different cabin. Um, so now it's just like, Jake, the professor's daughter, whose name I still don't remember, and Ash. And redneck dude is all like, we gotta find ourselves some Bobby Joe because she's missing. So he turns on them with the shotgun. And, they're outside and he's threatening to kill them and everything if they don't find his girl. But then Ash turns into like a deadite after he gets knocked out unconscious. And then he picks up Jake and he just smashes his body. The professor's daughter runs back into the cabin. Ash is trying to like kill her and everything. They still make references to Linda's necklace and everything, which snaps him out of it. That power of love, man. And so at this point, the professor's daughter, she no longer trusts Ash. She lets in Jake, which is weird because he put a gun to her face, but she lets him in. His body is messed up. And he gets stabbed in the chest by the professor's daughter with the dagger because she thought it was Ash. And then, so she pulls it out. So, of course, he's bleeding like crazy. But she's helping him and everything, which is weird because he put a rifle in her face. But anyway, she's still having a battle with Ash and she can't attend to him. Ash, like I said, turns back good and everything. But then she's still trying to kill him with the axe because she thinks he's going to turn again. Well, anyway, Jake's get killed by like Henrietta and dragged down in the cellar. She's trying to stop it, and we get the most amazing blood scene ever, where it's just gallons of blood spewing out of the cellar. And so they listen to the tape recording, and they know the pages have to like reverse like the Evil Dead and stuff. But Jake threw the pages down in the cellar because he was acting like a stupid redneck. And so they have to go down there. But Ash ain't going to go down there empty-handed. And now we get the assemble scene, which is really cool. He's building his chainsaw hand. Why Sam Raimi thought of a chainsaw hand, nobody knows. But it's one of the coolest things in the entire franchise. And so after that, he cuts off, like, the rifle, makes it into his boomstick, which is funny because in the third movie, he implies that it was his and that he bought it from the store he works in. But it's not. It's actually that the professor's. And then he says his groovy line, which has been, like, iconic since this day. And, like, it still makes me wonder if they were to make a modern day remake, which, yes, they are. Him, Bruce, Rob and Sam, they're making a reboot called The Evil Dead Rises, and it's supposed to be like a modern day remake. I wonder what the new catchphrase is going to be. It can't be groovy if it's not set back in the 70s. Well, technically it's set back in the 80s, but this movie is. But like I'm saying, they can't say that because it's like an 80s thing to say. But anyway, he goes down in there. And, he has to, like, deal with, like, Henrietta and everything. He throws the pages to, like, her. She reads them. But Ash's hand is still alive. And it stabs her in the back with the dagger. After this, well, actually, it's funny because when they were going through the book, they saw a figure with the chainsaw hand. And he's supposed to be the hero that was supposed to stop the evil Deadites back in, like, the mid-century and stuff. And Ash is like being arrogant, like, well, he didn't do a very good job, which is funny because he modeled his chainsaw hand after him. Well, anyway, she reads, like, the passage in the pages, which is supposed to open up a portal and suck up all the demons, like, in the portal. However, this does not happen the way you think it would. It opens a portal and everything, and, some of the demons are flying through in Ash's car. At some point, Ash screams at some point, and his hair turns like gray. or he gets scared. Oh, the giant tree! The giant tree is what made his hair go gray, which is funny because in the third movie his hair is back to normal. But anyway, the Delta gets sucked into the time portal. I think maybe the tree, I can't remember. But Ash gets sucked into like the time portal and everything. And the tree with all the heads on there, like, we won, we won, we won. And everything. So evil has won once again. And of course he wakes up in like the Dark Ages and stuff. And they're getting ready to kill him till they see a deadite flying. He whips out his gun and he blows his brains out. And then when it's on the ground, he shoots it even more. They declare him a hero and everything. And he realizes something. He realizes that, well, hold up, the chainsaw hand dude, that's him. And he's back in the Middle Ages. And he's supposed to fight these demons again. And so he's just screaming in anguish because he doesn't want to do none of this stuff. He just wants to be a regular dude who smokes weed and hangs out with women in his hometown and all that other crap. But then, of course, when we get into the third movie, that sets up his arrogant nature, which is synonymous with that, the TV show. You know, it's funny. Bruce Campbell has said a lot of people assume that when it came to the second movie, even though it's technically a soft remake, they assume he just went back to the cavern after the events of the first movie and, you know, just like with a new Linda and picked up the book and everything. And he's all like, no. But that's what I assumed too, because I watched the TV show first before I watched the movie. So I'm like, yeah, that's totally something Ash would do. So even though this movie isn't as tingling as like the first movie, it's not as glory as the first movie. The prosthetics and makeup is not as good as the first movie. It's still a good movie, even though, you know what I'm saying, it's a comedy horror, a little bit of action and everything. And, you know, it's not as great in my opinion as the first, but it's still freaking amazing and stuff. The acting gets slightly better. The acting is still off in this movie. It gets better in the third, and it gets better in the TV series. This was back in the day, so you know what I'm saying. But you know, if it wasn't for the downfall of Crime Wave, we would have never got this movie or the franchise, the TV show, all these rebooted remakes and stuff, the video game. I heard the new video game's not that good. I don't know. I don't play video games. But if it sucks, then that sucks. That wasn't that spooky. Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.